What's up YouTube? Today I want to show you a really quick and easy tip for creating your own custom, unique, I guess it's not FM, but it kind of is, FM shapes and tones without using an FM in Vital. Let's dive in and have a look. So this concept utilizes the phaser effect, and one of the cool things in Vital is it allows you to actually freeze the motion of the phaser effect, so it's not actually automatically moving. What this allows us to do is actually key track an LFO to modulate the kind of frequency of the phaser at like a FM rate. And this creates interesting FM shapes, which we can, save as wavetables and do all sorts of interesting things with. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I've got a basic saw wave. What I want to do is jump over to the effects over here, and we can enable a phaser. So as you notice that it's kind of doing its modulation like this, and there is this kind of panning offset. We want to turn the offset all the way to 0 so that we're kind of getting a monophonic signal. It's going to kind of sound a little bit more stable when we create this FM sound. Here, we could technically set this to like a really high rate, but it doesn't allow us to actually get into audio rate. We've got 1/16 is the kind of fastest that we can go. And here you can kind of set it to seconds and go a little bit faster, but no, still not audio rate. The trick is to set it down all the way to freeze. Now we're just getting a flat tone of the phaser. Then to change the tone, we basically change the center. You got various different types of actual of phases, which you can use the slider to actually mix between, and then the center changes the kind of tone of the phaser. So we've essentially set this phaser into like a filter mode, much like the phaser filters in Vital. Here what we want to do is we want to set this LFO to key track. Then we can set this to modulate this center parameter, and we get a FM-like sound, nice and grindy. We just want to turn the smooth parameter all the way down to 0, so we're getting exact values out of the LFO. So every time we trigger the note, we're getting a slightly different sound, and that's because the phase randomization on this oscillator is still at 100%. So we can set this to 0, and we'll get a more stable sound every time we trigger the note. Then we can just fine tune the parameters till we get more of a kind of grindy FM sound. So here what I want to do is I actually want to render this out as a wavetable using the Vital's built-in kind of render wavetable setting. But what I want to do is I want to create like variation on this wavetable so that we can kind of sweep between various things. What we can do is we can set this down to 1/1, and then let's set this LFO to modulate the phase of the oscillator. Let's set this to a complete ramp up shape, and now let's listen to what we've created. Cool, so now what I want to do is I'm going to resynthesize preset to wavetable. I'm not going to do it onto the first oscillator because I'm just going to save that so that I don't lose the settings. And then we can just mix this phaser all the way down, and we've recreated that. So now we can cycle through the wavetable to find these kind of like our favorite spots. Alternatively, we don't necessarily have to use just that phase modulation here. We could actually go into this phaser itself and change the, for example, like the feedback and the style of phaser that's happening. So you can just keep stacking them up and stacking them up to get these interesting textures. Then what I do is I generally jump in, like once I've got like this kind of wide variety of different sounds, jump into the keyframes, and you can actually select the last one and then drag this over here to kind of like change your selection on the wavetable to a smaller part of the kind of audio sample, and that kind of gives it much more finer resolution when you sweep. Check this out. Awesome, that's about it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video and you like the content that I make for my channel and you haven't yet, consider subscribing and hitting that like button. If you want the preset that I made, this Phaser FM stack preset for Vital, consider supporting me on Patreon. I do upload lots of presets, early access stuff, and I've got a little Patreon inner circle group. There's various different perks there for the Patreon, the different tiers on Patreon, so definitely go check that out. I've got a link in the description. See you guys next time. Cheers.